As a special surprise tonight, in addition to the Hall of Fame rings, each inductee will also be presented with a very special Hall of Famer golden jacket. It is with great pleasure that we introduce the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame class of 2024.
Yeah. Bitten by the enduro racing bug at just 7 years old, Mike Lafferty turned his passion into one of the most successful off-road careers ever.
Lafferty had his big breakthrough when he won back-to-back East Coast Enduro Association championships as a teenager in 1993 and 94. With that success, he became a full-time member of the factory KTM off-road team.
In 1997, Lafferty claimed his first AMA National Enduro Championship, sparking a streak from 1997 to 2007, in which he would claim a total of 71 wins and 8 titles racing national enduros. His 8 titles have him tied for the most enduro championships of all time.
With 14 Alligator Enduro Daytona Bike Week wins, Lafferty earned the nickname Mr. Alligator.
Along with his successful enduro racing, he raced AMA Grand National cross country, collecting 2 wins and 21 podiums.
Lafferty also competed on the world stage and was a member of the 1996, 97, 98, and 2003 U.S. ISDE teams.
After 2 decades as a factory rider for KTM in Husqvarna, Lafferty settled into his current role as the U.S. National KTM Ride Orange Manager. In this role, he oversees all U.S. market, off-road, street, and ADV demos, as well as the annual U.S. KTM Rider Rally and the KTM Junior Supercross Challenge events.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mike Lafferty.
Presenting the Hall of Fame ring to Mike tonight is Hall of Famer Larry Myers.
This is Mike and I'm Larry. Before I give you this, Mike, there's just a couple of things that I think worth mentioning. Motorsports is thought of, I think, by most people as hammer down, pedal to the middle and just give it all the gas you can. But the sport of enduro riding adds a third element. That's timekeeping. And you won the championships that you won during the era of timekeeping. And I think that folks should be aware that takes, it's in addition to riding skill and riding in mud, riding in trees, you got to be using your head and putting together a whole lot of numbers to hit those checks on time. And you did that better than anyone.
Thank you.
I hope not. In recognition of winning the AMA National Championship Enduros and a stellar off-road racing career, it's a great honor to present you with this ring. But one second, before I did that, I called my friend Alan Rant, who was your mechanic during the years that you won all those championships, and I said, can you give me a little insight to what I can say about Mike that maybe would just come as a surprise to some people? And he said, sure, I can help you out there. Let's go to the year, I think it was 2018, if I'm not mistaken. You had long ago retired, but you chose to ride a national championship enduro on an adventure bike. Now, when he raced, his motorcycle weighed, what did 250 weigh?
200 pounds.
About 200 pounds, and an adventure bike weighs?
Close to 5.
So what in hell made you think that you could ride a 500-pound motorcycle and compete with the guys out there on race bikes?
I was never claimed to be very smart, Larry, so.
The second thing that Alan Rant told me, your mechanic at the time, was that Mike didn't learn an awful lot in 2018 because he turned right around and wrote the damn thing again in 2019.
I raced an 890 at that time, actually here in Ohio at a national enduro.
What did that one weigh?
Close to 400.
Close to 400 pounds. He's doing that through the woods, dodging trees, and he finished both of those runs. He didn't win, but he finished both of those runs. And I'll tell you what, take your hat off to that, because that was an accomplishment. I was about to hang up the phone, and he said, you know what? Let me tell you one other thing that Mike did that will make you stop and think. rode an enduro long after he had retired on the same motorcycle that he had won his first national championship on. And I think that was 2019. 2019. In the final section, he broke a throttle cable. Now, generally, that's history. You know, sit down and wait, somebody's going to come get you. You don't ride the motorcycle with a broken throttle cable. But you didn't do that.
No, that was my 1997 championship bike.
Yes, it was.
And Pete Smith had built that works at KTM. So it was a bet, and he's like, hey man, I'll build this thing up if you race it. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And the bike was great all the way up until the last section, and yeah, my throttle cable broke, and I sat there for a little while. And
now wait a second. You sat down beside the bike. That's what you should do, because they have a chase rider that'll come along, and they'll take your status back up to headquarters or wherever they might start from, and say Mike is broken down in the woods and he needs a ride. He needs somehow help to get his bike up. But you did what?
I wasn't sitting there very long. Yeah, I've heard of this before. You kind of the cable broke at the end of the housing, so I just had the end of it. I wrapped around my finger and I kind of just meandered it and kind of rode to the end. Again, I wasn't accused of being very smart.
How in the world were you able to manipulate holding onto the bike, a throttle cable, and still miss all the trees?
It was not pretty at all. There was no way. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's never say die, you know, or never quit. So it wasn't very smart, but I wasn't going to do that again. That's for sure. Ride that bike again. So I was coming to the finish one way or another.
We could probably raise a few bucks if you wanted to try that.
No, I'm good.
Mike, you had a great career, and it is our honor to welcome you to the Hall of Fame. And on behalf of all of the folks that made this possible, you're right.
Inducted to the AMA. It's a huge honor. I want to thank the AMA Hall of Fame for putting this all on. It's a huge honor, and it's still kind of surreal. Looking back at this, it's been 10 years. You know, when I look back at this and driving over yesterday for 8 hours and just contemplating on everything or just thinking about stuff. You know, this whole thing started, and a lot of people know the story, is, you know, in 1994, Rod Bush, the president of KTM at the time, gave me a call, and he's like, hey, I was racing locals at the time. I won the local series, and he's like, hey, I want you to race for us and ride the National Enduro Championship. And I was like, absolutely, no problem. And I already had a deal lined up to race locals on another brand at that time. I didn't even care. Like, I told the guy, I said, listen, I'm out. Like, I'm going to Nationals, game over. The guy's like, whoa, calm down. And I didn't even care. Like, Rod took a chance on me, and I was going with it. So fast forward a little bit, next thing I know, I'm in California, never been on a plane, never been out west. You know, I jumped, straight in, and I don't even think at the first round in California in 1995, I didn't even finish in the top 10, but I kept my head down. It was one of those things where I felt like I needed to be there to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. It was my dream to race enduros and, to someday win if I could. And at that time, it was, things happened for a reason. I took a chance, and I met some people, and Alan Brandt was actually on the team with me at that time in 95, and we became friends, and he showed me pretty much how to travel, what to do, how to do things, how to set up before races. And I had no idea. I didn't know what I was doing. And, with that, Alan and his wife were there, and they took me under the wing, and we became friends. And from there, at the end of that year, it really started a relationship that I couldn't imagine. So from 1996, he's like, hey, I don't want to race anymore. I'll come and help you out. We'll do this. And that's when it all started, when those guys came about and just really sacrificed all their time and energy for me, and looking back then, the same thing, when they said, hey, we'll help you out, it was like, yeah, I'm all in, sign me up, I'm doing it. And that relationship, won us 8 championships and, a lot of races, and the part of that too was just the relationship with KTM, that strung on for 20 years. Al moved on to do some other things, and, we had won the 8 championships, and freaking DB had 8, so that pissed me off, and I'm like, I'm going to do this for another couple years, and I never had the chance of doing it, thanks to John Eric and those guys, tell me all the time that DB had his on a row and blah, blah, blah. So that's fine. So, I chased that for a while. I chased that 9th championship, and I had a great time in a lot of ways, and I learned a lot as far as, just learning, to take it in. I did it for so long that, winning was everything. I won a bunch, and I hated to lose. And when I did, I was just drunk. I didn't talk to anybody for a while, and I met my wife halfway through that portion of my life towards the end of that career, and she, was telling me too, like, man, you got to enjoy this more. You got to have, more of a fun with it. Enjoy doing what you're doing. And I thank her for showing me those ways and actually having fun in life. That was a big portion of it. So, as far as her helping me out, being in a relationship with KTM and going for so long for those 20 years, and then after the 20, it was time to get a job, and I was not looking forward to that. And there's one time that I can tell you that I was extremely nervous, and John Eric was president at the time, and I said I wanted to be done in 2014. He's like, yeah, no problem. What are you thinking after that? I'm like, I don't know. I want to continue with relationship and get something. He's like, hey, you got to talk to Heinz. Which John Heinz now is the president of KTM. And I remember having that conversation with him, and I'm thinking, man, that was the most nerve-wracking thing I ever had to do was, ask this guy for a job, And he strung me along a little bit, and we ended up doing something. And like I said, it's been 10 years now, and I'm extremely grateful for the time frame and for everyone at KTM, and being a part of the family. It is a huge family for me, and it's everything I've ever dreamed of. I couldn't imagine not being where I am now, but not being here without them. So I appreciate everyone, and especially KTM, Al, Melissa, for being my second set of parents, my wife, and yeah, thank you very much.
For smooth, effortless riding style, Matthews set the record for having the longest consecutive pro and amateur careers in women's motocross, racing for 27 years. Throughout her career, she placed in the top 15 in the national rankings of women's professional motocross from 1977 to 1997.
In 1994, Matthews became the U.S. Women's Motocross Team Race Director, also working that year to create Stadium Cross for Women with Danny Thompson. She continued to focus on having an impact, co-founding the Women's Motocross League in 1996.
Working with the AMA and additional groups, Matthews aided in the creation of the first women's professional outdoor national motocross series. She also advocated on behalf of women riders when she met with AMA Congress, driving the change to give women a rider classification for the first time in history.
After retiring from the Women's Motocross League in 1999, Matthews dedicated herself to the promotion, marketing, and teaching of women's motocross. In 2014, she founded the Professional Organization of Women's Racing, which generated the largest women's pro purse and bonus program.
Kevin Windham's 19-year AMA Supercross and motocross career is one for the history books. After he turned pro in 1994, he raced to 47 wins in AMA Supercross and Pro Motocross.
Throughout his long career, Windham was a consistent presence in the chase for AMA Supercross and Pro Motocross titles, racing his way to 5 second-place motocross finishes and 3 runner-up AMA Supercross finishes.
Perhaps the most defining moment of Windham's racing career came at the 1999 FIM United States Grand Prix. After 4-time FIM world champs Stefan Everts declared Europeans the best motocross riders in the world and labeled American racers as, quote, cowards, Windham made the Belgian rider eat his words. Windham dominated the field, cruising to an overall victory and securing a massive win for American racers.
Windham also represented the United States at the 2005 Motocross of Nations, in which the Americans raced to a first-place finish, edging out both France and Belgium to take the win.
In 2013, Windham retired from AMA Pro Racing, returning to the track briefly in 2018 as part of the Puerto Rican Motocross of Nations team, marking the end of a terrific career.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kevin Windham.
Presenting the Hall of Fame music for Kevin tonight is AMA Hall of Famer Brock Glover.
Congratulations to all the class of 2024, and I think it's a remarkable group of people here, and it looks wonderful having everybody in their gold jackets here, so congratulations to our members. So, Kevin Windham rode a dirt bike with elegance and grace. His southern charm and appeal as a Mississippi native transcended the globe, representing America with class throughout the world. Kevin was as gracious in victory as he was in defeat. Thankfully, for those of us who love motocross and supercross, we were fortunate enough to witness Kevin's talent as he lined up for points paying AMA Pro races an incredible 325 times. The third most in history, and while earning podium finishes 130 times. A highly proficient mud rider, who could forget seeing Kevin lap the eventual Supercross champion as he went on to capture his final AMA Pro Supercross victory in Salt Lake City, or his legendary transfers during opening ceremonies at the Supercross Series. When describing Kevin Windham, it's often said that he had more talent in his little finger than most riders had in their entire bodies. And who didn't say to themselves, I wish I could ride like Kevin Windham? I know even riders as accomplished as Ricky Carmichael have said that same thing. Today, Kevin continues to give back to the sport, coaching riders at his Farm 14MX facility and the MX Sports motocross combines. Kevin's easygoing personality has never changed. Despite being a global icon of the sport, he's still that guy, humble guy that would love to sit on the porch, or you'd love to sit on the porch, excuse me, and listen to his entertaining stories. It's my distinct honor to present, during this 100th year of the AMA, the newest member of the AMA Hall of Fame, Mr. Kevin Windham.
Congratulations, Kevin. Podium honors.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brock. Brought my child's composite notebook up, and it's full. It's full. Thank you to Brock and also Rob Itis and all of their committees here at the AMA and the lifetime members that voted me into this. This is a really special day. And the AMA, thank you for trying to control the chaos of us professional racers and also protecting our rights as two-wheel enthusiasts. You'll do a great job in getting it right most of the time. There was one time when I took out David Billiman and you guys tried to take some points away from me. Clearly, y'all got it wrong that time. But nevertheless, all kidding aside, I am very proud to be a 100-year. I just recently upgraded my lifetime membership, so thank you to the AMA. I started riding in 1981 on the Suzuki GR50, and this was some pretty confusing times for me. I would have my dad on one side of the track, yelling at me to go fast and pin it, while my mom was on the other side of the track, and slow down, baby. Okay, take it easy. Be careful, don't fall down. So, pretty tough times for me to know, like I was super fast on one side, super slow on the other. But we finally got it figured out, and I got my big chance in 1986 with Team Green Kawasaki, and where I got to ride for a great team and great people like Mark Johnson, my second mother Sharon Richards, the legendary Vivo Forte, which I could tell stories all night long about him, as well as Mitch Payton and Mercedes Gonzalez and the late Jim Hale. Amateur racing, as we've already heard tonight, but we'll all attest, it's amazing, and I wouldn't have wanted to grow up anywhere in this world. I mean, what the sport did to me, the time with my family, and the extended moto family is where kids need to be, and I'm proud to be a part of the sport, with or without this, and an illustrious professional career. So it was a great time, and I want to thank my mom, my dad, and my brother for introducing me to the sport. My dream for pro racing kind of came about in 1990. I think it's a fitting story that Larry Myers this year. He got to call one of the greatest Supercross races of all time. We were in Atlanta, Georgia, in Fulton County Stadium. I was one of the 43,000 people there on a frigid night, and Jeff Ward passed Guy Cooper, who was going for what would have been his first and only win. But Jeff Ward was a spoiler, and he went over the finish line tabletop doing it. Well, he did the triple fist pump with this hand, but I'm going to do it with this hand because it's got a really cool ring on it tonight. So he would just pump his fist, and I was hooked. You know, this was the greatest race of all time, as I'm sure a lot of you guys remember and can attest. In '94, I got my big chance, and it was Keith McCarty, Larry Griffin, and the Yamaha boys that gave me my first shot, where we picked up 2 125 West championships, as well as I became the first ever active 125 rider to win a 250 Supercross main event. From there, I moved on to Honda, and also Suzuki. That was kind of a quick move. But I'd like to thank Jeff Stanton, Chuck Miller, Cliff White at Honda, and Roger DeCoster, Ian Harrison, and the late Mel Harris at Suzuki. And there's a reason for that moving. You know, unfortunately, I was in a struggle a little bit. I was kind of getting in a spot where I didn't enjoy riding that much. And what do you do whenever things aren't going right in your life? I try to blame it on someone else. It took a lot of therapy to get past that deal. But anyway, I jumped around a little bit, and things. Guess what? My problems followed me, and I got the solution to those problems one fateful night in Atlanta, Georgia, in 2002, where I broke my femur and took me out of racing for quite some time. But looking back on that night, I can stand here today and tell you that it was the biggest blessing in my entire life. It was a great chance for me to reset. And as I was resetting, by sitting on my couch, actually, lo and behold, a brand new Honda 450, the first four-stroke that I got to ride, shows up to my house. I have no idea where it came from. I'm just like, the opportunity of a lifetime. Who just sends bikes in the mail, you know? And shortly after, I got a call from Rick Zachfelder and Jeff Myshak. And I think with the help of Chuck Miller and Ron Wood, man, we were back off to the racing again. So those guys took a huge shot at just randomly sending me a bike in the dark. And it led us off to certainly one of the greatest second chapters in all history. I mean, I would not be here tonight without you guys and the Factory Connection program. Not only in the racing, but also my post-racing accomplishments. So thank you to Jeff and Ziggy for all that they have done. And you know what's crazy about those guys? And this will shock everybody. We had some pretty big deals and some pretty important things to do. We didn't do it in black and white. We shook hands. I never signed a contract on one of the biggest stages, doing the most races, and I actually got all my bonus checks with a handshake, but that's how we did it. And when I came back, we did it different, and we had fun, and I want to thank them for that. They also introduced me to a fellow by the name of Mike Rondo, got me involved in my Planet Fitness venture, which was a great post-career transition, and just helped me through my whole retirement, which, as you'll hear, was a pretty exciting story. I'll never forget when Ziggy saw me take some crashes, and these guys really cared about me, and he sat me down and he said, look, son, you're too old to be hitting the ground like that. Your value is no longer in winning. You keep going out there and doing what you do and being you. And that was just an approach that I had never dreamed in a million years that I would hear from two team owners. And I always thought that I would do 20 years. And here I am in my 19th season. I have a year and about 9 months left on my contract. And I go to Anaheim 1, and I am so worried about this one section that is so routine, I shouldn't even have to think about it. We got through the night, and we go to A2, and it's Groundhog's Day, same thing. I go to, it was Phoenix, and then I go to A2, Groundhog's Day, same thing. So 3 times in a row, same thing. And I come off the track now with, like I said, a lot of time left on contract, and I said, I'm done. I talked to my wife, I talked to Ziggy and Jeff, and I said, look guys, I walked through everything that was going through my head, all the battles that I was struggling with, and they didn't even give me the choice. They said, if you're saying the things that you're saying to us, whether you like it or not, you're done. And that's how quick it ended for me in the industry as a professional racer, as we know this. We never go away from the sport, but that was the end of me as a professional racer with any chance of winning trophies, champagne, or even transfers. But you guys were instrumental in helping me make that decision, and you knew that it was the right thing for me at the right time, and y'all made that decision for me regardless of how much impact negatively it had on the race team. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of my mechanics for always keeping me safe, but I definitely would like to thank my first and my last, who are both here tonight. Brian Kalman, thank you for being laser focused. Thank you for knowing what I'm capable of. Thank you for pushing me to those limits. And thank you for your friendship, your therapy sessions, your counseling. You know, all of us racers tend to be head cases from time to time. And I appreciate you for keeping me going and keeping me motivated and keeping me safe. And Allie, same to you. Thank you for all of those traits, and I will tell everyone, as I'm sure they'll remember, one of my most memorable moments for you as my mechanic was when you did a 45-second pipe change at Windham. Burnt the crap out of your hands, but you got me back out there in 45 seconds. That's a pretty impressive pit stop. Then another occasion, we were at Hangtown, and I had a motor malfunction, and he and the Yamaha boys got a motor swap done in a hot lap and a 2-minute hold from the AMA. So it wound up being about 5 or 6 minutes. These guys did a complete engine swap. So you've been there with me forever. You've been my legal guardian. You've been my best man at my wedding. You've been my friend. And thank you for all that you've done for me, buddy. All right, thank you to Dottie, my wife, for 24 years, who I actually met at a motocross track. I would have told her that night how beautiful she was. I would have told her I would have married her, dated her, courted her, something. However, I was too shy to even find a single word to say to her, so I don't know how she would really describe the first encounter, but I don't think there wasn't much to it, right there, huh? But we worked through that, learned to talk to her. That was a nice trait. And she stuck with me through this whole journey, and I can tell you that I would not be here tonight without her and her support through all the journey, all the ups and downs, and I want to thank you for that, helping me get to this point. And blessing us with our 4 wonderful children, Madeline, Annabelle, Kevin, and Elizabeth. To my kids, I'm so proud of you for your godliness, your success at sports, and your dedication to your education. You guys are such a blessing to us, and me and Mom are so proud of y'all, and thank y'all for all that y'all do and have become as an example of obviously your mother. To Adam Cranford, my son-in-law, still kind of not getting used to that just yet. No, I'm just kidding. Super great guy. And I'll tell y'all that I did not think there was room for 2 moto guys in a family, but he has proved me wrong. So thank you for loving my daughter. I love watching y'all's marriage grow. And God willing, y'all give me some grandchildren. Hey, I'm gonna do a quick rundown. I know this is getting long, but I got a lot more to go. So thank you to, bear with me. Play the music, turn up the lights even brighter if you want me to go. I don't know. They said it was my night, so I don't know. I'll sit there and relax a little bit. Thank you to the McAnellys for the land they gave me for my first track. MX Sports, Feld, Dirtworks, Asterisk Mode, medical team, my trainers, the MX track owners, all the flaggers, media, TV, print. I think there's an announcer in the house, and he screams loud. Is there an announcer here? Lurch, that was a cue for you, buddy. Thank you to the announcers. Malcolm McCassie, Craig Reed, Dan Logier, Randy Belade, Roger Larson, Jeff Sarwell, and John Kuzo. Those were really individuals that were key to getting my stuff going on race day, so thank you to them. All right, moving right along. When I got the call for the Hall of Fame, of course I reflect on my career, right? And come to find out I won about 10% of my races, and I often have people ask me, like, you were in a different era. Do you think that you could be champion? Like, it's a nice rabbit hole I want to go down, right? But I do occasionally, and like for real, like that's a legitimate thing to say. Like, how do you beat the king? That seems pretty tough. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm scared to death of a freaking goat to this day. Like, I just don't know about goats, they scare me. And who wants to race the fastest man on the planet? I mean, that seems pretty damn tough to me. And that's just super cool names that are super scary to me. What about, I don't know, let's start it out. Let's start with Henry or LaRocco or Langston or Dungy or Villapoto or Emig, or the ones that are, that race that are not yet retired long enough to have their induction into the ceremony. So the list goes on and on. But thanks to what my peers have said tonight through this process, I don't have to validate anymore. I don't have to go down that hole. Thank you guys for saying that I am enough. This is a great honor tonight. Quick story on Ryan Dungey. I was already a 450 Supercross participant, and I meet this little kid on the KTM's Junior Supercross Challenge. And I'm high-fiving kids and all this other super fun. Well, one of them was Ryan Dungey. If I'd have known how much of a pain in the butt Ryan Dungey was going to be, I'd elbow check that little snot-nosed guy. Who would have thought I'd still be around and have to fight this KTM Junior kid? My gosh, it was tough. But I love Dungey, and everyone knows that he is a super great part of his family, what he's done for our community. Some people call me the People's Champ, and I can tell you I enjoy beyond words the relationship that I have with my fans, winning against the best, representing America, the heel clickers, nose wheelies, and somehow I even enjoyed those crazy ass transfers. But I will tell you, it was very difficult for me to transition to normal life after my retirement. I'm very thankful that this award comes some 11 years after. It took me a lot of time to process what was going on in my life and to come here with a clear mind to accept. So thank you to Steve Hudson, MX and Supercross chaplain. His support, words of wisdom, and guidance through Scripture was tremendously helpful to me. I want to give praise to God tonight for all of my highs and lows. Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11 says, "Again I saw that under the sun the race is not to the swift, nor battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the intelligent, nor favor to the men of skill, but time and chance happen to us all." And that's not saying that hard work doesn't pay off, but it's saying to me that in my desire to control, I have to surrender. When I want to control, I need to trust. And I have to have trust and surrender to God's inscrutable plan. I'm going to leave y'all with 3 stories that I don't know that I'll be able to get through, but I got to share them. From Dirtworks, Chris. Oh, God. Chris Blankenship from Dirtworks, he asked me to go do a race for him for about 5 years at a fair race, and I never had time with our busy schedule. The year of my retirement, I got that opportunity, and I was going to take it. I flew up there, and to see Chris in his glory, where I was supposed to kind of be like the celebrity, but to be honest with you, Chris was the thing. He was the celebrity at this event, and to see him in that, amongst all his friends, was something really special. And on the first race of the day, a friend that was riding his bike crashed it, and he came to me and he asked if he could ride my bike. I said, well, I don't really think I'm supposed to be doing that, but tell you what, let's take your plastic off your bike and put it on my bike. And I have no problem with it. I chose to not race that day because I had a target on my back. Everybody wanted to beat me, and I wasn't in that mindset yet, or in that mindset still, because I was retired. Of course, this was their opportunity to take a run at me. I told him I'd do some transfers and hang out and take pictures, sign autographs, and he said, no problem, just let me ride your bike. So on lap 1 of that race, as I'm standing about 50 feet away, he crashed and perished on my bike. And I can't speak to time or chance or why that happened, But I can just say it was an honor to be there for him and for his family and to witness him and his glory. And I miss him tremendously, and that was one of the hardest things for me to ever understand. So thank you for letting me share it. The next is opportunities that I got to share with Make-A-Wish kids. And it's when you're having a bad day and you're having your own little pity party, it's nothing more special than to hang out with some kids that can show you what joy is truly about. I want to bring one of them up by name, Matt Hutchinson. I met him on the Mississippi Ride for Kids. And Matt has forever changed my life with his courage and his excitement and his loving little soul and his ability to live life to its fullest. It's super fitting that I bring him up today because he has two favorite riders, and one of them was me and the other one was Matt Mladen. So it's a great day to bring up Matt Hutchinson. And I want to thank him for what he did for me. And I tried to give him a little piece of my career and what I could do for him. He paid me back tenfold. And the third story, and I'm getting close to the end. We're in Puerto Rico, 2018, and a buddy of mine named Will McNabb came up to me. I hadn't seen this guy in about 30 years. And he comes up to me, and I greet him. Like I said, I didn't know he had kids. I didn't know he was married. I didn't know any of it. And he comes up to me and he says, hey man, how you been? I'm like, great, man, here. Puerto Rico, go Puerto Rico. And he says, hey man, my son's always wanted to ride with him. I'm like, bro, for you? No problem, man, let's make it happen. Just name the place. He said, let's make it today. And I'm like, we're at Redbud. I don't think they're gonna let just anybody out on this track at Motocross Nations. And about that time, he pulled out an urn out of his pocket. He asked me if I could take his son for a ride. And I gotta be honest with you, I had to work through some superstitions. I had to work with some stuff within myself. But I was able to get through my own battles, my own hurdles. And I put him, my mechanic put a hole in my crossbar pad, and I put his remains in my bike, and I rode all of my practices and all of my motos there at the Motocross Nations. I can tell you that these things that happen in life, sometimes it's hard to make sense, but that is the time and the chance, the power of God, the power of moto. And these things don't happen without the sport, without this industry. In these situations, the stories, which could go on for all night long, have made me who I am, and I'm so proud and thankful for every single one of them, the good and the bad and the ugly. I want to thank you all for your time. I want to thank everyone for the honor that is bestowed upon me tonight. It's with the clearest mind and the purest heart of my life I am able to accept the induction into the Hall of Fame. Thank you all very much. Who do I gotta see?
We'll talk to Jamie and Joy about that. But Kevin, such inspirational words. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And one of the things that we wanted to chat with you about was following up. We wanted to ask you about that 1999 FIM United States Grand Prix.
What we wonder is, did Stephen Edwards call the American riders cowards? Did that help you beat him or hurt?
Yeah, I think he called us cowards, but there was probably some other things he called us that probably couldn't be put in press. You know?
Did that fuel you?
That absolutely fueled me. Look, when you race from January to, I think that race was in late September, and look, I get it. I'm a fan now. Like when racers need a weekend off, I'm like, that's bull crap, man. Get out there and race for us fans, because that's what I am now. But as a racer, the body gets tired, and I think a lot of the guys need some time off, and I did as well. But when he called us out, I couldn't make that opportunity. And the crazy part about it, that year with Honda, I only had win bonuses, and I told him, I said, I don't care. I'm not worried about money. I'm not worried about anything. I said, you give me a bike and give me the opportunity, I'm going. And I went for one reason, and for one reason only, and we got it accomplished.
Yeah, that was great.
Love that.
Yes.
Again, thank Thank you so much for sharing more of your incredible story with us. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your induction.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Windham. Rob Rasor played a key role in shaping the AMA into what it is today, especially on the government relations front.
During his time with the AMA, Rasor served as legislative analyst, vice president of government relations, and president, playing an instrumental role in several major legislative wins for motorcyclists. For his efforts internationally, Rasor was awarded the FIM's highest honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rob Rasor. In what is often called the most significant decade of domination in road racing history, from 1999 to 2009, Matt Mladen notched 7 AMA Superbike titles and won 82 AMA Superbike Nationals in the process. Please welcome Matt Mladen.
Yeah, probably did.
Those used to be his bikes, actually. He's really couldn't enjoy it. It seemed like every time I went when he was there, it was cold or either way.
Yeah, you're right. That was most of the time. There's a classic.
Cut. That's what I learned from you.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Lots of good stuff here. Wow. And then there's a back room too. Oh my God. And then, gosh, then there's stuff back here too.
And there's me, thanks,
and then there's Carl. I know you, Carl. Wow. Oh, hey, check this out, dude. My grandfather used to race one of these. I got a picture of him on one of these running the board track.
Is that right?
Yeah, my grandfather used to do board track on one of these. Wow. Yeah, what I wouldn't give to have one of those that he had, huh? Wouldn't that be something? Oh yeah, here's the old original.
You can't do that many of these, Gary, right?
Here's the old original.
That thing's five
Here's
pounds.
Villards, yeah.